When Allen Robinson opens up about what happened in Detroit, it's worth paying attention. In a recent podcast, he shared an insight that left many fans scratching their heads. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Brad Holmes continues to keep an eye on the market, and a well-known name, a former top 5 pick in the draft, is back in the news in Detroit. Something big is brewing. Leave a like, because this news promises to heat things up among Lions fans. Allen Robinson isn't holding back when it comes to what could have been for the Detroit Lions in 2024. The former Lions wideout recently hopped on the Heavyweights podcast and dropped a bold take that's sure to spark some what-if conversations across the Motor City. He flat out said the Lions were Super Bowl bound, if they'd stayed healthy. Robinson described last season like the team was clinging to a cliff, only to slowly lose its grip with every injury. And honestly, he's not wrong. Detroit stormed through the regular season with a ridiculous 15-2 record, locking up the NFC's top seed for the first time ever. But once the postseason hit, so did the injury bug, and it hit hard. By the time they ran into Jaden Daniels and the surging Washington Commanders in the playoffs, they were barely hanging on. You need everybody when you're going up against a player like that, Robinson said, alluding to Daniels' dual-threat danger. And when half your defense is limping or sidelined, that's a recipe for disaster. GM Brad Holmes echoed the pain in a separate podcast, saying at one point they were literally pulling guys off other teams' practice squads just to field a roster. Guys like Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Carlton Davis, and key linebackers were all banged up when the team needed them most. The depth held up for a while, credit to the front office for that. But in January, when it's win or go home, backups can only carry you so far. So yeah, it's easy to say, we'd have won it all. But when you look at how dominant they were at full strength, Robinson might be onto something. A healthy Lions squad had the talent, the swagger, and the momentum. But sometimes, the injury gods just say no. And this time, they slammed the door on Detroit's Super Bowl dreams. Did Robinson touch a wound that hasn't healed yet? Comment below. And get ready. The next news could shake up the Lions' defense in an unexpected way. Alright, here we go again. Another week, another pass rusher being linked to the Detroit Lions. But this time, this one actually feels like it's got some legs. Bleacher Report's Brad Gagnon cooked up a batch of spicy trade deadline predictions, and among them is a deal that could bring former Gnome 5 overall pick Kayvon Thibodeaux to the Motor City. Now, at first glance, the idea of the Giants shipping off a former top 5 pick might sound wild. But when you consider New York's recent moves, drafting Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick and already adding Brian Burns last year, suddenly Thibodeaux looks like the odd man out. Not because he's bad, but because the Giants might see more value in flipping him while he's still on his rookie deal. And it's not the first time Thibodeaux's name has been in the rumor mill. Back before the 2025 draft, there were whispers that New York was shopping him in hopes of jumping back into the first round. In the end, they pulled that off, grabbing QB Jackson Dart. But they had to give up their 2nd, 3rd, and a future 3rd to do it. So, yeah, they're not exactly swimming in draft capital right now. Enter the Lions. Detroit's got a roster built to win now, and adding Thibodeaux opposite Aiden Hutchinson would give them a nasty 1-2 punch off the edge. Plus, he's still under contract through 2026, which means no massive extension hanging over their head just yet. It's a low-risk, high-reward swing for a team trying to get over that final hump. As for what a deal might look like, it probably starts with a couple of early day 3 picks. Gagnon notes that Detroit doesn't have a 3rd rounder in 2026, so things might need to get creative. But let's be real. If New York's ready to make him a rotational guy and avoid a 2nd contract, they'd be thrilled to get a few picks and move on. Bottom line, this is one of those rare trades that could make both sides happy. The Giants get value and flexibility, and the Lions add another weapon to fuel their Super Bowl push. Keep an eye on this one. It actually makes too much sense. Detroit knows what it has in store, and what it lacks. If it's going to be a champion, bold decisions need to happen soon. There's a lot coming up, so sign up to make sure you don't miss anything from the Lions.